Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Sweden has long held itself up as a humanitarian superpower, the world's first feminist government, even the most welcoming European country during the migrant crisis. In 2016, the country took in more refugees per capita than any other nation. But in recent years, it's also become the target of criticism from the right. Nigel Farage deemed Malmö the rape capital of the world. Violent gang crime has gone up. In the last 2 years, over 50 grenades have been detonated. One inside a police station. So is it the liberal utopia the left would have us believe, or has an open-door immigration policy caused social chaos? James Clayton reports.
Yeah, we think the man picked up the hand grenade right about here. And then he and his wife walked off for like 30 meters and the grenade exploded at the 4th lamppost over there.
And he was killed?
Yes, he was killed.
A grenade attack in Sweden? That seems very unusual.
It's not unusual, unfortunately, but it's here now.
Sweden! Who would believe this? Sweden!
Gang-related crime in Sweden is rising, and for many on the right, it's being used as a case study of how migration policy can go horribly wrong. Do you feel that Sweden's being fought over at all?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I mean, it's very clear that Sweden is a symbol.
Sweden has been a very provocative example for many on the right side of the political spectrum.
A suggestion the other day that you should have tougher sentences for crimes committed in no-go zones. That's like apartheid rules.
The way that the left and the right paint Sweden is very different. The left see Sweden as a paragon of social justice and liberal democracy, and the right views Sweden as a place where political correctness and an open-door policy to migration has led to social chaos. Sweden has become a global battlefield of ideology. Sweden is a safe country by relative standards, but certain types of crime are on the rise here. In the last 2 years, over 50 hand grenades were detonated in Sweden, like this attack on a police station in Malmö in January. It's an astonishing number for a country not at war. Sweden doesn't publish the data on the ethnicities of perpetrators, but police tell me the grenades are used by gangs who are mainly drawn from high immigrant areas of Sweden's cities. And these are from the ball bearings?
Yes, ball bearings, yes.
From the grenade. Raina Bergland attended the aftermath of a grenade that exploded in Vårby in southern Stockholm in January. A man picked it up while cycling home. Police think he may have thought it was a toy. He died at the scene. Police have yet to charge anyone, but believe it may be connected to a shooting in a restaurant days before. Do you feel safe here?
I feel safe when I work, but we think about our tactics, how we park our cars, and we stay together. Over the years, people have thrown rocks, Molotov cocktails, stuff like that.
So where from?
From the upper side here.
From up there?
Yes, from the subway.
So you've got stones, you've got Molotov cocktails, you've got grenades. It doesn't sound like Sweden, does it?
No, and this is not the only place in Sweden. It's like that.
Do you think this is a no-go zone?
No-go zone for the police, but I know the term is used by people.
Because a lot of people, particularly in the right-wing media, say that the police don't go into places in Stockholm and Malmö
right.
And Gothenburg.
No, it's not right. It's almost the opposite. You call it a no-go zone, we are here all the time.
Police say that the grenades are old stock, left over from fighting in the former Yugoslavia and smuggled across Europe. They're now so common that their street value is absurdly cheap. This and this together, they're 200 kroners, and that is the same price as a grenade in Stockholm. Part of the discourse in Sweden surrounding these attacks and an increase in other violent crimes like shootings is immigration policy. During the European migrant crisis, the Swedes took in per capita the highest number of migrants. Paulina Neuding is a right-of-centre journalist and editor at the website Kvartal. Journalism for adults is how she describes it. And for her, it's very clear that crime and migration are linked.
You must realize that Sweden has very serious problems. When a Scandinavian welfare society has these sorts of problems.
Sweden has incredible levels of life expectancy, happiness, high employment. There are lots of things to learn from Sweden.
Sweden is a Scandinavian welfare state. We've done very well, but this is a new development that we have to understand.
Controversially, Paulina believes there are no-go zones in Sweden for police, paramedics and journalists. It's a term that American news organisations like Breitbart and Fox News have become obsessed with, but police and the government strongly rejects. We joined her as she interviewed two union leaders of the ambulance service, who were surprisingly candid about their experience of working in Stockholm's suburbs.
Are there no-go zones in Stockholm?
Yes, it can be when you are on some place and take care of people, they need your help. People get violence when you are coming to them. We never leave the people behind. But in some cases we have we must stay and wait so police coming.
Henrik is referring to places like Rinkeby in Stockholm, an area with relatively high levels of deprivation and crime. For decades, it's been a destination for first-generation migrants. A riot last year cemented the town's reputation as a place to avoid for many Swedes. And journalists reporting here have been attacked in the past. We went to the town to speak to Amin and Hashim, who've set up a group trying to stop violence in the area.
Do you think that this is a no-go zone for the police?
There's a lot of people that don't live in Rinkeby that comes to work here every single day. They manage to get home safely. So just that shows you that this is definitely not a no-go zone.
Instead of finding a solution, a long-term solution for these problems, which this is complex problem, you call them a no-go zone. It's just like labeling it, making it easy for politicals to decide over people instead of including them in the solutions.
I don't think the Swedish society is very open for immigrants. I think there's a lot of xenophobia.
But they've let the most or the highest number per capita of migrants.
Well, it's not the people that let in, it's the government. So you have to separate the government from the people.
And do you think there's a disconnect there?
There's definite disconnect. And we will see, it's election year this year. We will see that people will speak.
So what's the truth about areas like Rinkeby? Well, it's unscientific, but we spent about an hour in the centre of the town, and the vast majority of people were fine with us being there.
I mean, it looks all right. It's very difficult to know exactly what the police come up against. And certainly journalists have been attacked here. But at the moment, I mean, it doesn't look that bad.
During our time in Rinkeby, one person using a few choice words told us to leave. But it was hardly the lawless no-go zone that some have depicted, for us at least. In September, Sweden goes to the polls in an election where crime and migration are going to be key issues. And the anti-immigration Sweden Democrats are looking to make significant gains.
The left would say that you're whipping up racial tension for a political gain.
Well, that's their way of seeing it. They are the ones who never wanted to debate those questions. Every time there was a reaction towards the immigration policies, we would call racists. What I'm saying is that we cannot go on taking in so many people that we have done before.
Do you think that's going to threaten the welfare
Absolutely,
state?
it will.
You really think that?
Yes, it will.
And you don't think that's over-egging it? You don't think... No?
No, it will. Sooner or later, the welfare system will go under if we keep doing
Because of migration?
Because of migration.
The idea that Sweden's famously generous welfare state is in danger is clearly politically emotive, and other figures keen to prove that there are consequences to high levels of migration have made claims about Sweden that go even further.
Pro rata, Sweden have taken more young male migrants than any other country in Europe, and there has been a dramatic rise in sexual crime in Sweden, so much so that Malmö is now the rape capital of Europe, and some argue even the rape capital of perhaps the world.
Okay, but
criminologists say that this is wrong and that the number of rapes has remained fairly steady over the last 10 years. There are also intrinsic problems with international comparisons.
Nigel Farage said that Malmö was now the rape capital of Europe. Is that fair?
No, I don't think it's fair. It's because of the environment in Sweden. We work to help women report these rapes, and maybe we just succeed better than other countries.
Do you think that some people are using statistics to, in certain ways, for political ends?
I know they do. And this is a problem with statistics. It's easy. You can show almost anything you want if you just cut off some different factors and you can make it the way you want it to be.
But just as some have overplayed Sweden's problems, it's also evident that other legitimate concerns about migration and integration haven't always been taken seriously by the mainstream political parties. Sweden's Minister for Home Affairs, Morgan Johansson, was the immigration minister during the migrant crisis.
Some people blame the number of migrants that Sweden have let in the last 5 years. Do you think there's any link to that policy and the crime rates increasing?
Well, I certainly don't see that link when I'm looking at the Swedish prisons or custodies. I mean, 1% of the population in our Swedish prisons are Syrians. 1% is from Afghanistan. The people who are causing problem for us today, the vast majority of them are born in Sweden. And that's not an issue of migration, that's an issue of integration. But I also say that there is a political agenda mostly from the political right abroad and globally to use problems in Sweden as a way of saying don't accept migrants, don't have that kind of open-hearted policies that Sweden has been known for.
Sweden divides opinion. It's a well-run country and its economy is booming, but it's also become the target for many on the right who want to prove that mass migration cannot work. The Sweden example doesn't quite show that, but it does illustrate that even well-organised countries can still struggle with integration.
James Clayton with that report from Sweden.